One early question for a reader might be, is this about content and moderation and culture, or merger finance, for example?
Quite a bit of both, actually. We really wanted to take the deal as a whole and get into the finance, get into the logistics of how Elon was able to make this deal happen, and also get into the sort of existential reasons he had for wanting to control the company and the way he's shifted content moderation since the takeover.
There's been a lot written about the deal financing, but then about the way he approached headcount and efficiency. Ryan, I wonder, wins and losses on that front for him.
You know, he has cut a lot of costs at the company. There's 75% less people that work for him. And, you know, the site still largely works, but, you know, the finances are undeniable. The valuation of the company is cut in half. It's valued at less than $19 billion by his own metrics. So it's, on that front, it's been a bit of a disaster.
I was going to ask, because it's in your title, how Elon Musk destroyed Twitter. Has he actually destroyed Twitter, or is it a work in progress? It does feel very relevant right now, and certainly in our lives.
Right. And, you know, we wanted the title to be provocative and make people think about that question. But, you know, as it once was, Twitter no longer exists, right? It's X now. The business itself, the advertising business, is virtually destroyed. You know, the company's making far less money. Elon has taken on quite a bit of debt to keep things rolling. And I think the open ecosystem that was Twitter, that kind of was trying to support and uplift a variety of voices, has shifted quite a bit to be more explicitly in line with Elon's political interest.
I assume you reached out to Elon. Did he actually talk to you?
He did not. We sent him more than 500 questions in the process of reporting the book. We watched your interview with him, but no, he didn't respond.
He didn't respond at all?
Not at all.
The Isaacson book was instructive or helpful, yeah?
Yeah, the Isaacson book was really helpful because it's Elon's side of the story, and obviously because we didn't interview him, we didn't have that. And so it was really helpful for understanding his perspective on what was going on, and also for pinpointing his location. He pings around the globe all the time, and so there were key moments in our reporting where we wanted to know where exactly he was, and Isaacson's reporting was helpful in figuring that out.
You know, Elon, from having reported a lot on the deal itself, sort of did stumble into it, I think, and frankly didn't fully understand the nature of contracts when it comes to a true deal of this type. That said, he is still the world's richest man. I mean, he can sustain this thing for a long period of time. What are your expectations for the platform from here, given that, again, he can take on more and more debt if he needs to, even if they're not producing a good deal of free cash flow?
I think it'll continue to exist, and it'll exist in a long time. Things like Yahoo Mail still exists, and people still use it. Doesn't mean it's necessarily growing, but it does have, you know, a subset of users that find it interesting and valuable to their time. You know, it does remain to be seen if he can sustain these billion-dollar-plus annual debt payments. That's a huge burden for anyone.
Yeah, well, he could choose to if he wants to, one would expect, but he might not.
If you're a Tesla shareholder,
that said, nothing has replaced it at this point. Would you agree with that? I mean, there hasn't been some sort of a new platform that has taken its place.
I agree. I think that in those really big breaking news moments where everyone feels the urge to just jump into the conversation, people are still returning to that platform. You know, we've seen it with the recent assassination attempts on President Trump. People are coming there to discuss it. That being said, I think a lot of communities are starting to shift to competitors like Threads, like Blue Sky, like Mastodon. And I think that that'll continue over time. You know, people get kind of burned out on certain social media platforms. And, you know, in my college era, it was people transitioning from Friendster into MySpace into Facebook, and then out of Facebook into Instagram. And so people tend to, you know, move around the internet as their interests change.
So we've got Yahoo Mail reference and now
really
MySpace reference.
Yeah.
We did point out, you think that in 10 years, his profile will be just as strong as it is because of other ventures, because of SpaceX?
I think it's a large part of this book that he is the richest man in the world. He controls two major companies. I think that's undeniable, his achievements with Tesla and SpaceX. And, you know, the U.S. government is dependent on SpaceX to get things into space. It's a virtual monopoly at this point. So, I don't really see it changing for him.
Do you guys go into any detail in terms of trying to understand this transformation to a certain extent as a MAGA warrior that we've seen take place for Mr. Musk?
Definitely. I think, Musk's interest in politics has shifted a lot over time. He used to be very uninterested in that, and he has talked previously about how he hadn't voted in prior elections. I think he's become more and more invested as he started to disagree with what he sees as mainstream politics and want to resist that. And we get a little bit into his sort of psychological profile in the book, and he really sees himself with quite a bit of heroism. And you see it in him coming into Twitter. He thinks he's going to save the company and reverse the mistakes of the previous management. And I think you see that with politics as well.